9:30 meeting.
You can't go, I'm sorry.
I will walk out this damn booth.
That's on you.
You mind me talk to you about guests for next week also?
Okay.
I left the paper.
What paper?
The paper with the songs on it. Since I started keeping track of the songs a little late, we're going to have a grand delete end of February.
Okay.
All right, because we're only 3 songs deep, and it's, another week of January? It feels like it's January 35th or something.
It's actually January 42nd.
Okay, all right.
The year is just 1 January now.
Just
Even when
January.
it becomes February 1st,
It'll just be January?
January 32nd.
What was the song today?
Come Through, Summer Walker.
How's that go?
You make me wanna come through, quarter after 2. Da, 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 da,
Gotcha.
It samples Usher's You
Leave
Make Me
the one
Wanna.
and leave the one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
It's a good song.
It is a good song. You kept it.
Of course.
You got 4 that you've kept.
Of course. You just keep on keeping
am.
track.
I am. And I hope you end up having to delete a vote.
A good one?
Yes.
I have to get a bad one.
I hope it's just straight bangers for the next, 30 days or so, all through Black History Month. Just nothing but bangers. And then you end up having to delete Vogue at the end of the month.
Sorry, it's actually by making January extended, Black History Month is
So we just don't have one?
Yeah.
Shout out to the DEI initiatives.
Yeah, that's one of the repercussions.
So that means we don't have to remember herstory either, right?
No, for sure not.
We get rid of
no,
March?
Please. March is done.
Good. So I'm tired of you people.
God, we're gonna make history great again, you know?
Come on, man. Let's
History
do it.
had its moment.
Did it?
No,
No.
not really.
Even the Hers didn't like herstory. Am I
It's
mistaken?
true. Yeah,
The Hers were like, hey,
that's bad.
herstory is a little too much, man. Just a little bit. Appreciate the effort. Appreciate
I'll
the
never
intensity.
forget my herstory notebook.
I think I had like 3 of the herstories. Again, the Hers are like, appreciate the effort and the intensity. I wonder if Grizz fans feel the same way about last night.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, January 28th. It is going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. Coming up on today's show, a stinker at Madison Square Garden. We will talk about the Grizzlies' loss to the Knicks last night. Mike Wallace will join us about 20 minutes in to continue that conversation, along with some storylines from around the NBA. Former Memphis Tiger Will Coleman will join us in studio. 40 minutes in, we'll talk about Memphis's big win over UAB from this weekend. We will do some TV Tuesday. I started the Pitt, watching Severance, SNL. We'll get into all that we're watching. It's a Tuesday. You know what we say. I had something, and I forget.
Is that what we say?
It's that kind of morning. I had something. It was good, too.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Memphis Cat is back with his Heaven on Earth tour.
I tried to be incognito, but thanks to Shannon Sharp's loud mouth, the gig is up.
February 22nd in the FedEx Forum.
In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati. Look for their secrets. Run back. Tell y'all.
Don't miss this year's most talked about comedy icon live. He's back with brand new material, an unmatched wit, and an electrifying performance. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Is Hulkamania officially dead?
Yes.
When you have over 17,000 people live and you have Netflix premiere the biggest day in WWE history, and meanwhile they boo him out of the building?
Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you.
That is your core audience, and they don't want it.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, hey, let's have a little fun now. Hey, I wanna let it all out. Hey, that's what's it all about. Hey, hey, 'cause I deserve this feeling, having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I remember what I was going to say because I really did have a you know what we say, and then I was going to say it to you. So are you ready before we get to it? Sure, come on. You can't trust a Chris because if Chris crossed applesauce, what will he do to you?
There we go.
That was pretty good.
That's a good one.
I saw that on Twitter yesterday when I was doom
You're
scrolling
doing
during
this.
Grizzlies
You're doing
Knicks.
this the wrong way. Just say the joke and don't cite the source.
Yeah, but that's
They're
stealing.
not going. Yeah. So this
Right.
this nation is
That's
founded
what-
on stealing.
I must
stealing
tap into
land,
my genetic
stealing people.
code.
Like what are we talking about
You're
here?
right. Right, I
Goodness,
made
we're
that
gonna
up.
st- we're
I
gonna
made that up
steal-
last night when I looked at my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go steal Greenland.
Can't trust the Grizzlies in a game at Madison Square Garden. Do you know how bad you have to have played for Coach Tom Thibodeau to bench his starters with 4 minutes left in the game? Like, he doesn't do that. He gave his starters a rest last night because it was over.
I would give them dudes a rest also.
So would I.
What, 30-something, 32, 33 fast break points? We're talking about 21,
If
22
you want the
forced
specifics
turnovers?
of it.
Come on,
36
man.
points off turnovers.
Hey, dog.
28 second chance opportunities.
What's the fast break?
Hold on, I had the Rockets Celtics box score up
that's-
because
that
if
was a
there
good
was
game.
anything to
That
make
was a
last
good
night
game.
even worse, it was Dylan Brooks scoring 36
That was a good
points for
game.
the Rockets. 31 fast break
31,
points.
so 31 fast break
Yes.
points, 28 points, 28 second chance points.
Yes.
Come on, man. And
Yes.
20 something. They earned it. They earned the break.
They earned a little rusty.
Hey, you go out there and play like that, Tibbs will let you rest a little bit.
Yeah. You get a nice little moment with Karl Anthony Towns and Timothy Chalamet after the game. I just wanted Timothy Chalamet to lease on Al Gaib the Grizzlies into a championship, and instead, Timothy Chalamet probably thinks the Grizzlies stink. That's the only game Timothy Chalamet's probably seen of the Grizzlies. Yes, CJ.
You wanted Timothy Chalamet to do
Lease on Al Gaib.
Huh?
He is the Lisan Al Gaib in Dune. I can't believe you haven't seen Dune.
Okay.
Of all the things that you were into, I feel like Dune would be right up your alley
I find
and
it
in your
boring.
repertoire.
I tried to watch it, fell asleep.
Well,
Tried to watch it again, fell asleep.
he sees the future.
Oh, okay.
He's a soothsayer.
I got you.
But
Okay. And
the
you
whole
wanted
thing
him
is
to see
like
the
when
future.
someone like makes an accurate prediction, like the thing to do is to go Lisan Al Gaib. And I wanted Timothy Chalamet, who was courtside at Madison Square Garden, the most
Okay.
famous arena in the world yesterday, to look at the Memphis Grizzlies and for them to play so well
That's on me.
that it would allow Timothée Chalamet, who I've seen a lot of this week because we'll talk about him on SNL later in the show. I just wanted him to predict great things for the Grizzlies. But how can you predict great things for a team that turns the ball over like they did last night? And the craziest part of the experience of watching Grizzlies Knicks last night was it wasn't fun from the beginning. It was awful from the get-go. And yet, I was watching it like, well, they're somehow only down 13. Well, they somehow turned it over 14 times in the first half, but they're only down 8. They're just one run away from being back in this basketball game. Jalen Brunson has 4 fouls. Oh, that seems like that would be good news for the Grizzlies in the first half. Taylor Jenkins made an adjustment coming out of the half, started Brandon Clark, who was one of the bright spots of the early action, immediate impact when he came in after they had flopped their way out of the start of this game, kind of turned things around. But it doesn't matter when you give up 83 points in the second half. And you could be like, oh, it's just one of those nights that nothing was working for the Grizzlies. And there is truth in that. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out, after giving up 83 points in the second half yesterday, even in the fun of the winning streak at FedEx Forum last week, they gave up over 70 points in 2 different halves of basketball. They gave up 72 points in the second half against the Hornets and followed that with giving up 71 points in the first half against the Pelicans. So that's not great. But as you mentioned, with the turnovers, the giving up of offensive rebounds to the Knicks, like they were literally giving points away to New York in last night's game. Like, here,
They've had bad turnover games this season.
Very.
I can't offhand remember any of them, but the Timberwolves game was a bad turnover game, I feel like. The MLK game, but it wasn't this where they're turning the ball over.
No, that was a good turnover game.
Then was it the one where Ja hit the shot?
Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, that's the MLK game.
Yeah, then it might have been the one before that where Ja hit the shot on the road in Minnesota. I feel like they had a bad turnover game against the T-Wolves, but it wasn't
18. No, 13.
Okay, well then I'm making stuff up.
Wrong one. But it is, I mean, they've been bad with turnover. They're one of the worst turnover teams in the league.
The larger point is they've been bad with turnovers, but it hadn't been this, where they're turning the ball over and they're giving up fast break points. The Knicks are just running up and down the court doing layup drills on them last night. And I don't think we've seen this Grizzlies team this year be that bad in transition. Nobody's getting back on. If they're getting back, they're not getting back fast enough. They're arguing calls, whining about calls they didn't get or feel like they should have gotten. That's just what they do in the NBA. I get it. You didn't do it in high school. I know for a fact you didn't do it in college either, because I know your college coaches, right? Like Tom Izzo wasn't going to let Jaren Jackson Jr. get fouled on one end against Indiana and argue the call with the ref and not sprint back without there being a situation. Also, the whole team doesn't need to stop and argue with the ref. Ja Morant drives, Ja Morant gets hit, probably should be a foul call, should definitely be a foul call. Ja stops, throws his arm up to gesture, hey, where's my call? He's moping up and down the court. He wants to argue with a ref. You standing at the three-point line, that didn't happen to you. Sprint your ass back, because the Knicks are running down your throat at some point. The amount of times Jaren will be back there, Santi, Bane, somebody is back there already. They see Ja get fouled. Ja throws his hands up, and they're like, yeah, Ja, I'm going to throw my hands up also. Meanwhile, Bridges is running right by you for another layup.
Time and time and time again.
Come on, man, get back.
As the great Ursula the Sea Witch once said.
I have no clue where you're going with this. I love me some Ursula. I can't wait to hear it.
You can't underestimate the power of
body language.
And the body language was a big old last night, particularly from Ja Morant. From the beginning, he did not look like he wanted to be there. A Knicks fan came across my timeline and just said, why is Ja so sad? And I said, well, one, he's not getting calls. And I understand. I truly and deeply understand. I mean, I don't, because I'm not a professional basketball player, but I can imagine to understand the frustration of getting fouled time and time again and not getting a call. At one point, I don't remember the exact particular of the stats, but I think Ja was like 3 of 12 from the field and had not been to the free throw line one time. That is absurd. Like, the lack of whistle that he gets, is factual at this point. It is not a fans collectively coming together like, yeah, Ja doesn't get the call he deserves. No, like you watch a Grizzlies game and you're thinking, wow, Ja Morant really doesn't get any calls. You can take that, but then the response to that, as you alluded to, throwing the hands in the air, looking visibly dejected, frustrated, and then not getting back on defense, and then at times not even being involved in the offense. There was one possession he just stood in the corner. I was like, what is happening? What happened to the player I love when it comes to Ja Morant? And it's worth noting, like, he was sick earlier this week. This flu is taking people out left and right, not just in basketball, but in life, and it'll knock you on your booty. So perhaps he still was not feeling all that well in yesterday's game against the Knicks. I would hope to be able to lean on some of that as an excuse, because he was a career worst minus 41. And you don't always look at plus minus, but sometimes it's so dramatic.
Listen, if the plus minus is in the 40s, like you can look at that.
How about this?
That matters.
Ja, Jaren, and Desmond Bane were a minus 109. If your
Combined?
big three has a combined minus in the hundreds,
Yeah, that ain't good.
I think you're going to lose the basketball game, and you're probably going to lose by a lot, which was the case for the Grizzlies. That was the first time this team has been blown out since the Oklahoma City Thunder game during that big post-Christmas road trip.
Yeah, listen, man. Hubie Brown, we talk about it all the time. You got 10 games in the season where everything's going to go right, nothing's going to go wrong. No matter what you do, you're going to win those 10 games. You'll probably have 10 games in the season where everything goes wrong. No matter what you do, you're going to lose those 10 games.
I thought about that maybe 100 times last night.
That just constantly quote that man on that. So, like,
sit cross-legged, hands like this, meditation style. There will be 10 games where everything goes wrong. There will be 10 games where everything goes right.
So you don't want to overreact.
Correct.
However, in the games where everything goes wrong, if every single time everything goes wrong, there are like 3 to 4 issues that keep popping up, and that pop up even in games that you win. Mm-hmm. Right? Like turnovers are an issue that pop up in games that you win.
Giving up big numbers and a half.
Big numbers and a half pop up. Like that's when you say, okay, let's be concerned about it. Would I be concerned if this game happened last month or November? No. But it's January. We're past the halfway point.
Data.
We've got the data points now. It's like, okay, now these are the issues I am concerned about right here, right now. And they've been issues throughout the course of the year. You hadn't fixed them yet.
Right.
You need to fix them before the playoffs come. Because otherwise, we'll look up. You'll get bounced in 5, bounced in 6. And these will be the reasons why. And it's very clear that these are the weaknesses to the team right now.
And one of the weaknesses has been going up against teams with big physical players on the perimeter, and also just physical teams, period. Like, we know how Tibbs coach teams operate. They are a bunch of dogs. Like, they create the terminology of dogs for teams like Tibbs coach Knicks. And when you go up and down that roster, like Josh Hart, I talked about how much I love Josh Hart yesterday, and if he had gotten one more offensive rebound for that team yesterday, I was going to murder someone.
Talked about it on the show. Like, the thing I was really excited about seeing is how the perimeter did, specifically rebounding the ball against Josh Hart. Because you'll play some dudes in the playoffs potentially who will come from the wing and just get downhill and attack the rim trying to get rebounds on you. And they did not do, they being the Grizzlies, did not do the best job.
They won the rebounding battle, but it didn't feel like they had any rebounds that really mattered. And the Knicks had every rebound that mattered. I mean, the fact that the Grizzlies had more offensive rebounds than the Knicks last night, and the Knicks had 10 more second chance points. Like, that is the story of what happened in yesterday's game. But you talk about trends that have impacted this team, and having issues with those more physical opponents has been one of the things that stands out. And frankly, going up against teams that are in the top 3 of their respective conferences, and I know we will circle and star and throw all the hopes and dreams around the fact that the Grizzlies do have a win against the Celtics this season. It was a long time ago. It was the last time Ja Morant scored 30 points this season, which blew my mind looking at that yesterday. Not because I was like, there's no way that could have happened. Just the sheer realization that it's been that long since we've seen a Ja 30-point game.
Yes, and it's not... The way the offense is not set up for somebody to get 30, is it?
No.
Like, it's not like Jaren, while Jaren's playing incredible basketball, he's Western Conference Player of the Week this week.
That's a positive.
But it's not like he's averaging 30 points a game. It's more the totality of everything he does, which is why he's getting the recognition that he's getting. I think Jaren on the season is 21, 22 points per game.
22.
Like that the offense isn't set up for somebody to get 30 a game. So impact the game in other ways. One of the things that we like about Jaren and why the city is beginning to embrace Jaren as like a true all-NBA player, something that he actually is, a true fringe MVP candidate, which he actually is because he's doing a lot of different things that you need him to do. So if you're somebody like Ja Morant, I think Desmond Bane has struggled with this at times this year. Others have had to find their way. Also, Luke Kennard immediately comes to mind as well. How else are you going to impact the game? The shots aren't going to be there for you to take solely. So what else can you do that is impactful on the game? And we've seen Ja and Bane turn it up defensively. Like when Ja locks in defensively and gets in a stance and turns up the defensive pressure on his guy, that's incredible. It's not going to lead to turnovers every single time down the court, but that effort is disruptive enough to allow the Grizzlies to get out and play at the pace that they want to play at. So how else are you going to impact the game?
Right.
So it makes sense for Ja not to have a whole bunch of 30-point games, to me, one.
Sure.
Two, how confident are you just off track here in those Boston Celtics right now? Do they not concern you? Because they concern me. Yes. Like, I'm not sure I'm all in on these Celtics.
Like, even watching and trying to do the bartering stage of how you were going to approach last night's Grizzlies loss to the Knicks. Like, how much of an indictment is this on the team right now? And I will say, I think it's more important to take this week as a collective. You can slough off one of your worst games of the season if you follow it up with one of your best games of the season when the Houston Rockets are in this building on Thursday. And there will be even more buzz and energy following their win over the Celtics. But I do think last night's Rockets win was more of a testament of they're playing really good basketball right now. Amen Thompson has been a capital F freak on the basketball court and continues to be excellent in growing at rapid fire pace for this Rockets team and being one of the links that's connecting it all together. But then there are also the genuine concerns about what the Celtics team has looked like over the last couple of weeks. So you can kind of mar those two things together. We're going to continue this conversation with Mike Wallace. He will join us after a quick break. We'll ask him about Ja Morant, the Grizzlies offense, last night's loss to the Knicks, looking ahead to the game against the Rockets later this week. It's a lot. We'll try to feel a little bit better about it all when we come back with Mike.
Sitting right next to me, am I right? The one and only Jay Huff. Were you comfortable there in your seat?
I'm great. I've been adjusting it, playing around with the height settings.
What are you exactly? 7'1" or 7 even? Or
I say 7'2" because I wear shoes.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz Beat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
A night of comedy with Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
Now, is this a family? Is this your mother? Where is she? Is she in the crowd? You don't know where your mom is. The mom's up there. What kind of family is this? I'm sorry.
Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
I went ziplining for the last time.
What
is wrong with us? Would you pay $200 to feel like you're about to die 6 times?
Live in Memphis, FedEx Forum, Friday, February 21st. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Who would you be excited to meet?
Don't matter, the greatest coach of all time.
Who is that?
Nick Saban.
And Saban knew who you were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he knew who I was.
That's amazing.
Saban, come on, man. He said, I'm proud of what y'all doing.
And that meant the world to me and Willie. But look, I'm going to tell you.
That meant the world to me.
I bet.
Coming from the greatest coach of all time. Let's go.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
How about them
How about the
Tigers? Go.
Beat Tulane in a game that nobody called. Nobody thought was going to happen. They were a 2-touchdown underdog, and they got the win.
Number 25 in the AP right now, number 24 in the coaches poll right now. So this is a Tigers football team that's going to end the regular season ranked in both major polls, possibly ranked in the CFP as well, with 10 wins. That's a damn good season.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Welcome back. It is time to catch up with Mike Wallace, senior editor at Grind City Media. He joins us each and every Tuesday. And Mike, that wasn't a fun one last night to watch between the Grizzlies and the Knicks, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. And it wasn't fun from the very get-go. You know what I mean? I think Taylor Jenkins said that after the game in New York last night, was that, we just didn't bring it from the very, very start. And, it was just, it's not a game that you dismiss. I'm not going to go down that path and say, hey, it's 1 of 82, because it's no more or less 1 of 82 than, when you were beating up on, the Utah Jazz or the New Orleans Pelicans, and playing really, really well. So, there's some things in this game that you have to take away. And I thought, Eric on the radio broadcast, Pete, Brevin, and Fish on the TV broadcast did an excellent job of raising some valid points and some questions that this team still has to answer.
One is turnovers, and that stands out aggressively on a night like last night where the Grizzlies turned the ball over. What was the final? 26?
26.
Thank you. I just wanted to
36
points off turnovers. Yeah, I wanted to make sure those numbers were exactly correct. And then the 28 second chance points that the Knicks got as well. But I want to get your take on the Grizzlies offense and how it functions versus teams that you can beat up on, like we saw maybe in the 6-game winning streak, particularly that homestand where you got to face the Hornets and the Pelicans and the Jazz, and then how that offense looks against true contenders or teams that are in the upper echelon of their conferences this season, like the Knicks. What stood out to you or has continued to stand out to you with this new Grizzlies offense and the difference that it looks in going against good teams versus bad teams?
Well, typically when you're going up against good teams, they have stronger defensive principles, right? They have, particularly with the Grizzlies, when they go up against teams that have stronger guards and guards that do not mind defending you and getting up in you and playing in the passing lanes.
When you say stronger guards, Mike,
yeah,
you talking about like bigger, more physical guards, or you talking about just better defensive guards?
Well, a combination of both. More aggressive guards is what I'm alluding to, right? Brunson is an aggressive guard. Mikal Bridges is an aggressive guard with wingspan. Obviously Josh Hart plays forward, but he's an aggressive perimeter defender who doesn't mind getting up in you. You see that same thing with, the Houston Rockets. They have aggressive guards that don't mind getting in you with Van Vliet and all of the perimeter guys, Dylan Brooks, obviously, Amen Thompson. Even though those guys are playing bigger forward positions, their perimeter strength is really remarkable when it comes to that. Oklahoma City, those kind of teams, man, they really pressure the Grizzlies, and they force the Grizzlies to try to get to their third and fourth read. And when you're going through that, it gets frustrating. And then it doesn't help when you're trying to, every time you go to the lane, you're looking at the referees after you don't hear a whistle blown. That takes you mentally out of transition defense, and that takes you psychologically out of being the kind of having the kind of mindset you need to be competitive at all stages of the game. And I'm not saying the Grizzlies don't get a bad whistle every now and then. They absolutely do. But that's becoming too much of a trend right now. You're starting to see that body language, particularly when they're going up against tougher teams.
Yeah, a quote came back to me watching last night's game, and it was Ja going into this season where he said, a happy jaw is a scary jaw. And when we see Ja arguing with the refs or asking for calls or why he's not getting calls, like, that's not a happy jaw. And it pulls him out of the game. And I'm with you. Like, I will say first and foremost, it does feel as if Ja Morant gets a pretty unfair whistle, especially considering his presumed stature in the larger landscape of the NBA. But we have seen it time and time again, and it doesn't appear to be changing. How have you seen the kind of disconnect that begins to happen with Ja in these games where that frustration settles in early, and how do you think that he can pull himself out of it in order to help this Grizzlies team better perform in games like last night?
You know, it's not just only on Ja. You know, this is something that Jaren had struggled with earlier in his career, all the way up until maybe a season or two ago, right? You know, and it's one of those things where you're not entitled. Like, you are not entitled to get a whistle. And some players are, some players aren't. But what I'm saying is that the reason why I'm saying you're not entitled is because if it's going to impact the integrity of how games are going to be called after that, that could be a problem. If it's going to impact the body language that the rest of the team picks up, no matter who the leader is doing it, that can be a problem. And when you're going up against tougher teams, more physical teams, that's the way playoff basketball is. I haven't looked at the overall stats in a long, probably about 2 or 3 weeks. But the Grizzlies do get free throws. Like, they do get their share of free throws. It's not like they're bottom third in the league or bottom, fifth in the league in terms of free throw attempts. They are getting a lot of free throws because they are a physical team. It's just in these games when they're going up against elite level competition, they have to be a little bit more mentally tough in those situations and competitive. And I love to see it. I saw it in Boston. You know, you see it, from time to time when they go up against other teams. But they have to bring it because we're getting down to the nitty gritty of the stretch run of the season at this point. And you got to turn that corner against these top teams.
I need them to release the psychos. And I know that that's injury related at the moment in Marcus Smart and Vince Williams Jr. And hell, even Cam Spencer has T-shirt under their jersey energy. But watching the game against the Knicks last night, that's what I wanted. I just wanted someone to be so angry, and
you wanted some energy.
I wanted some energy.
You wanted the Yugi minutes. You wanted Yugi to run out there for like 45 seconds and energize these people.
No, I want Vince Williams to go out and terrorize someone on the perimeter for a second.
Right now.
I know. So I guess Yuki's the best we've got, but it's a little different. The Yuki energy is significantly different. If we were like channeling energies, like if we were using crystals, the Yuki crystal would be a different version. I don't even know how crystals work. I'm talking a language that I don't even speak. But maybe give the Grizzlies some crystals. I need more, right? And it doesn't seem like that is going to be driven from, that's never been the character of Jaren Jackson Jr. or the tone that he particularly sets on the court. And like Ja and Dez can tap into that at times, but from a physicality tone-setting standpoint, it feels as if the best options for the Grizzlies continue to be on the bench, which I know creates a difficult situation as we are here on January 28th and trying to figure out if this team, as currently constructed, is in its best position to go out and chase a championship this year. And it's hard to make those kind of opinions when you have such significant players still on the bench.
Well, I also think it's hard to make those opinions, but it's also not hard because the best availability is the best ability is availability, right? Like if guys are continually going through this cycle of injuries, maybe that tells you something in and of itself, right? Like these are guys that, hey, for whatever reason, this just is not working at this point. I do know that the Grizzlies are a better defensive team typically when Marcus Smart is available and in the doses that we've seen Vince Williams Jr. But we haven't seen Vince Williams Jr. During a season where it really mattered and the games were stacking up in terms of going up against elite level competition with stakes on the line. Like we saw Vince Williams Jr. last season emerge and G.G. Jackson for that matter, emerge when it was a season all about giving them as many minutes and as opportunities as you could to develop them. I don't know what that's going to look like in the midst of a playoff chase or whatever. So we still have to look forward to that. And I think that that's going to be a help. But I also have to understand, like, okay, this is where they are right now. And the February 8th trade deadline is coming up in the next couple of weeks. So you won't have the luxury of being able to evaluate this team as a whole and completely healthy before you have to make some of those decisions. The question is, do you feel like right now you have enough? The Grizzlies are 12-11 against teams with 500 or better records at this point in the season. And that's basically a 500 team. So you're a 500 team against teams with a 500 or better record. Is that enough to convince you that you can go and win a playoff series, particularly the way things are stacking up in the West? You have to make that decision in the next 2 weeks with regards to trade deadline. I feel like they do have enough. I just think they have to make some tweaks and some adjustments on the fly that we haven't really seen consistently against the top teams yet.
And I do think this is a perfect week to have a approach where I'm with you. You do not dismiss last night's game because there are enough trends against better teams that once again like reared their ugly heads. But you take the week of a collective where, okay, how do they bounce back against the Rockets? How do you bounce back against a Rockets team that just beat the Celtics? I will say, I actually enjoyed seeing Dillon Brooks go off for 36 points because then the hope is that he comes into FedEx Forum on an absolute heat check kind of night where he thinks it's got it going and shoots a lot of shots for the Houston Rockets. But this is a Rockets team that now has beaten the Celtics, has beaten Cleveland twice, has beaten Oklahoma City, has beaten Dallas twice, has beaten the Clippers 3 times, and has beaten the Grizzlies 3 times. So they have done what the Grizzlies have not been able to do this season, and that is beat a level of competition that elevates them a little higher when it comes to maybe the belief factor in what they could do in the postseason.
And they keep doing it right now in this stretch where these games, like you keep checking the standings because these two teams are so close in them, and you're like, man, there's no way Houston's going to win this game. Grizzlies have a chance to sneak up. So what I want is I want Thursday's game to matter in the stands in a situation where it will dictate who moves ahead or who stays or whatever. But they beat Cleveland twice in the week. They went to Boston and won, which is something the Grizzlies did earlier this season. And they just keep churning out these, hard-fought victories, and they all coming down in the final seconds every single time. That happened against Cleveland. That happened against Boston. They play at Atlanta tonight, so they're going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights by the time they show up Thursday against the Grizzlies. So this is going to be a tough stretch for Houston. But what they've proven so far is that this isn't smoke and mirrors. These aren't empty calorie wins that they're getting. They're beating legitimate quality competition. And to your point about Dillon, you're right. You hope he's on a heat check night, jacking up shots and those kind of things. The only problem with that, Jess, is that he's done that before and they survived it earlier this season. Every time Dillon, look at his shooting percentages against the Grizzlies for this season. It is horrible, and yet they find a way to overcome that and still find a way to get wins. But
it's like it's written into their game plan. Like, we know Dillon's going to do this against Memphis.
Yeah.
He had the one game last season when nothing mattered for Memphis, and he had the game winner. And we'll give him that moment, and now you can go forward with that. Did you have something you wanted to say, CJ?
They've been able to withstand Dillon Brooks is what they've done this season.
Is that game on TNT?
It sure is. Why did you have that response? I'm curious.
Don't the Grizzlies usually?
No. My mother just did this exact same thing,
okay,
and I would like to rewrite.
Educate us, Jessica.
The Memphis Grizzlies have won their last 2 games on national television. They beat the Spurs without John Morant on that Friday night game. Not just beat the Spurs, destroyed the San Antonio Spurs.
Which was on ESPN.
Which was on ESPN.
Okay.
And then they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves on MLK Day on TNT.
All right. Okay.
Those are 2. You have won the last 2 nationally televised games. I will not fall into this narrative that they never win. I know it feels that way, and you get the vibe. And if they lose on Thursday, it'll feel, the Grizzlies lost another nationally televised game.
I'm specifically speaking about TNT.
They just won their last one.
Oh, they did.
Thank you very much.
I think the NBA counts national TV. NBA TV is national TV, don't they?
I don't.
Oh, but the NBA does, and they were on national TV last night then.
Technicality.
Okay. All right. Now we're
okay, well, I would actually say, even if you're not,
now.
I would count, if you want to do technicalities, any game against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden should count as a nationally televised game because the amount of attention that those games garner. Like, you're on the New York Post, for goodness sake. Like, you have pictures of Timothy Chalamet. My point that I wanted to get back to.
You've been watching too much Penguin, dog. You're not a mob boss. Calm down.
I am the hangman.
Oh, stop it.
With the game coming up against the Rockets, and we were talking about Ja, and in our first segment, we had mentioned how Ja has not scored 30 points since the game against the Celtics earlier this season. And is this offense formed in a way that allows a player to go off? And even Jaren Jackson Jr., with all of his accolades and being named Western Conference Player of the Week and being someone who I saw one person say it's time to put him in pen for second-team All-NBA with an opportunity to boost into first-team All-NBA, all of that. We'll find out if he's an All-Star before the Rockets game on Thursday. They'll announce those. Can players go off for big numbers? Ja Morant has had two of his best offensive games against the Houston Rockets. He had 29 points in their last game. He had 27 in the game before that. How can Ja operate specifically against what the Rockets throw at him? And even with how this offense is designed and the lack of pick and roll opportunities for Ja to work off of, what gave him the opportunity to be one of the best paint scoring players in the league over the last couple of seasons when he played, not last year when he missed so many games. How can that drive forward and provide like a steadiness, I guess, for him to rest on?
You know what? To answer that question, Jess, I'll go all the way back to when the Grizzlies were in training camp over in Nashville. And one of the first media availabilities after they unveiled this new offense was Ja Morant basically embracing the offense, but you can also tell that there was a little bit of skepticism, and not from a way he's being critical, but just, all right, how do I really fit into this? I know what I do well. This offense is going to require me to do something different than what I've done here. And I have to, go with it. I have to be able to go with it. And so that was the foundation of how the offense was set. It's a more egalitarian system where everybody handles, everybody passes, everybody gets open looks. But you have one of the most dynamic talents in the NBA on your roster. And there has to be moments within that offense where you set things aside and go pick and roll for Ja if that's what Ja wants to do. You go ISO 1-4 and you get Jaren Jackson Jr. in the mid post or facing up to give him what he needs to do. And then everybody else has to play within the system from that standpoint. I remember going through, seeing this develop when the Bulls and Phil Jackson took over for Doug Collins, and they instituted the triangle offense. And everyone was like, man, you got Michael Jordan here. And I'm not comparing Ja to Michael, but I'm just saying the drastic change that a system do. And Michael and Scottie had to figure out ways to be effective in the triangle. And then he took it to LA, and Kobe Bryant and Shaq had to do it as well too. So a true superstar can figure out a way to still get his and find ways to get theirs, but it has to be a conversation between the coaching staff and those elite players to know when to give and take. And sometimes when Ja needs to feel comfortable and empowered, he has to have that right to be able to do that. And I think that that's something we're going to see evolve a little bit. I'm not going to say change. I'm just going to say evolve as we get down the stretch. I think the pace is going to slow down just a little bit. They're going to have more shorthanded possessions where Ja has the basketball. But Ja also, the onus is on him to cut down turnovers too, because it's not like they're turning the ball over when Ja's not playing. They're turning the ball over when Ja's not playing and when Ja Morant is playing. So they have to get a handle on that first. And Houston will take advantage of that loose ball handling if you're not careful, and they turn turnovers into points quickly as any team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, last night you can't have your starting backcourt have 10 turnovers to 6 assists. That's just not a way of success for the future. Wanted to get your take, Mike, because we have continued on the Jimmy Butler saga that seemingly never ends. He has been suspended again, this time indefinitely, from the Miami Heat. This is his third suspension. This one occurred after he walked out of practice yesterday after learning that he was being removed from the starting lineup. Turns out he is not back. How does this end? And Jimmy, in typical Jimmy fashion, because he is one of the pettiest players that we currently have in the NBA, he did provide a picture from the TV show Martin. CJ, I'm unfamiliar with what this means.
I was going to ask you if you were aware.
I did not know.
Mike knows about Tommy. Mike, what's the issue with Tommy, man? Where he work?
Tommy ain't got no job.
Tommy ain't got no damn job. That's just a running joke on Martin. Tommy will get up and say, all right, everybody, I'm going to work. And somebody say, Tommy, you ain't got no damn job. Every single time. Jimmy ain't got no damn job.
But he technically does because he is still a member of the Miami Heat.
Look how happy that made
I know.
Mike. Mike, you love you some Tommy.
Hey man, and you know what? Tommy would be like, "Yeah, I'm down. You know where I work at. I'm down at the building." And he was like, I thought you got fired from that job." No, I'm across the street from the building I got fired from. But it's always one of those things, man. But Jimmy, look, guys, we talked about this a season ago, right? Or going into last season. I told you Jimmy did not like as much as Miami has ever acquiesced to any player in Pat Riley's history. He's done for Jimmy Butler, and I'm scratching my head because I cannot figure out why that is the case. But I'm not going to put this all on Jimmy. Like Jimmy's, when he's right, he's given it. He got the Heat to 2 more finals than I would have ever thought they would have gotten to based on what he had working around him. But I will say this, and I'm glad you guys asked me about this because I've been wanting to get this out off my chest for this too. The problem is, and it's not necessarily a problem, it's a reality. These NBA players now are making what Jay-Z calls FU money, right? And Jimmy Butler getting suspended without pay when he's making $50 million, it's not hurting him. It's not hurting him. Jimmy
it hurts
Butler,
me.
Bradley Beal, like all of these guys, they're making 20 million more dollars this year than Michael Jordan ever made in any single season that he's played in. Think about that for a minute. Yeah. When you're making $50 million in a season to play basketball, losing $7 million is not going to hurt you. So all of this stuff that's going on with the suspensions, Jimmy's not, his lifestyle isn't changing based on him not getting that check every 1st and 15th, right? Now, if that happens to us, if we get suspended without pay, yes, our mortgage won't get met, right? There's going to be, kids are going to have to eat top ramen as opposed to, some other kind of food that they love and shrimp and all that kind of stuff. But these players right now, which is why Bradley Beal and Jimmy Butler and all of these guys can stick it back to the teams now, is because they're making a level of money where it doesn't hurt them anymore to get suspended without pay. It just doesn't. And until that changes, or when you can afford to say F you and throw the middle finger up at your team and it doesn't have any consequence that hurts you, guess what? Jimmy can drag this out as long as he wants to. Now, eventually, the Players Association will have to step in, and I know you guys got to get to Will Coleman from here, but the Players Association will have to step in, and they will have to dictate something that's on the best interest of the league, because this has become an embarrassment. And when you have 2 stubborn guys like this in a Cold War, guess what's going to happen? The Miami Heat as an organization is going to suffer. Pat Riley's legacy going out the door is going to suffer. And Jimmy Butler is not going to ultimately get what he wants either, because it's only going to taint the next locker room he has to go to if they're not careful. So it's a lose, 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 but all sides can afford it, but especially Jimmy Butler right now, because that money doesn't mean much to him as it relates to losing. He would rather make a point than make $1 out of this.
The Miami Herald has, of course, they're going to have articles about Jimmy. It's the Miami Herald. This is coming straight from them. Butler's set to lose at least about $5.7 million of his $48.8 million salary for the season, assuming he's still on the Heat roster for each of the first 5 games of the most recent indefinite suspension. So right now, I think he's lost about per the Herald, he's lost about $2.3 million, or will lose $2.3 million with this this suspension. Once this suspension hits, if he's still on the roster after the trade deadline, he'll lose the $5-ish million.
You have to be honest.
And we'll still have $42 million to play around with in Miami.
I hate talking about this part of
or you can suspend him for the rest of the year. If you suspend him for the rest of the year, guess what? He's still walking away with 20-something.
Exactly. It's a nauseating amount of money that just like we're talking about it like it's monopoly money, and it's because it's someone who makes a salary, and there are many people who make salaries that are that much, and the difference between. Anyway, that's a longer conversation for a longer day.
But that's the goal.
However,
the goal is to make enough money to where you can look at your boss and say, "Hey, boss, I'm not doing this anymore."
Precisely.
Like that's
99% of us will never have that opportunity, and we will jealously witness somebody who is able to so steadfastly sit in his ways and say, "I don't care. I can lose this money. Let's do a staring contest because this doesn't matter to my pocketbooks."
Well, and to CJ's point, like you look at your boss and say, "Hey, I don't want to do this anymore." So there's a defiance there, but it's also your reputation at stake. But you also have to change your mindset too. You're making so much money at this point where you're your own entity. You're your own independent contractor, right? So it's like, okay, this is my corporation. I call the shots when it comes to what my brand and my corporation is. The NBA and professional sports has paid these guys to become their own individual brands, who are assigned to an organization, but they're still their brands. And that's the part that all of this money and it's a great sport. Everybody's making money. It's lucrative. We all love our jobs, but that the reality of it is when you have a person that's empowered like that, that's what the player empowerment era is. They make enough money now where they're empowered to say, nope, I'm not doing this. And this is going to be my way at a certain point. And we're past that point with the Miami Heat, unfortunately, with Jimmy Butler.
And it's not just the money, right? It's the way we consume these things also. So Jimmy Butler not being on the Heat doesn't mean he just fades from consciousness.
Right.
I feel like refresh my memory. I feel like the Knicks had an issue with Marbury, something similar to this at one point in time. And Stephon Marbury, to try and stay in our consciousness, would just buy seats right behind the Knicks bench. They wouldn't let him kick it with the team. They wouldn't let him sit with the team. But he's like, okay, cool, you're still paying me, you're suspending me, but I'm just going to buy tickets behind the bench. There was no social media back then. There was no way for Stephon, other than doing that, to stay in our consciousness. Well, now, because we got Instagram and Twitter and Blue Sky and Mastodon and all these other weird-ass social media apps, Jimmy Butler can stay relevant. He can throw up a picture of Tommy from Martin on Instagram.
He can have his agent do the "I'm back" statement last week. Kevin Love can keep us in the loop of every pop culture reference that he's cycled through.
So yes, it's not just the money. It is in part how we go about consuming things. It used to be you suspend a player. Like Ron Artest got suspended all those games that season.
You didn't see him.
And you just didn't know what Ron was doing. Somebody rolled up on him with a camera outside, like a drive-through or something like that. He's like, yeah, I got a record label now. I was like, oh, okay. Ron Artest has a record label, I guess. And we just kept on going on with our lives. Well, now Ron Artest, I got a record label. It's like, okay, I got to follow Ron Artest. I got to see what this label's got going on. It's a whole lot of different things leading to this sort of an era, Mike, but I think that you're right.
But don't you think, Mike, like when you say eventually something will have to change, once the cat's out of the bag, or the proverbial bag, when it comes to player empowerment, do you really foresee a world where it rolls back to a certain degree?
No, I don't see this going back. I don't see this ever going back to a place where Jimmy and Miami are good. But what
I just mean long term. Like when someday when a new CBA comes out.
Yes. It's no, because the money is always going to be at a point now where, again, we're just in this era, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to change unless, there's a drastic market correction. But even to that point, as CJ said, there's so many different channels and vehicles where players can get their image and their branding and what they want to get out there. They're always going to look at the NBA, and what their main job is just part of what they are. It's just a part of it. So I don't see that changing from that standpoint, unless there's a major market correction, because the money is just too. Like we saw James Harden basically do a protest while he was still on the court.
James Harden just got fat.
Yeah, he got fat. He stopped playing hard. And
that's child's play compared to this.
Yeah. We saw Ben Simmons just say, you know what? I'm having a mental breakdown right now. I'm not going to show up for work. We've seen guys do these things before, but never to this degree. And Jimmy has all his faculties about him. He knows exactly how calculated he is. And so he knows what he's doing. I just think at some point the league will have to, like, remember, David Stern stepped in and said, you know what, Chris Paul, you're not going to LA for the best interest of the game. You're going to, the Clippers, not the Lakers, right? Like, it was one of those deals. You saw the commissioner step in and remove owners from ownership situations when it was detrimental to the game overall. I just think at a certain point, this is going to embarrass the league to a level where if it's not resolved by the All-Star break, there's going to be something where the league is going to have to step in and either put Miami in its place or Jimmy Butler or them both some kind of way in their place to make sure this is not a stain for the rest of the season.
Mike, appreciate you. As always, we will see you back for Grizzlies Rockets on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Mike, on the spot, favorite Martin moment, episode, whatever, quote, whatever you want to do.
Woo, man. Bruh, man. Y'all ain't got no sandwiches.
What's yours?
I was gonna say bruh man also, but Cole, anytime Cole gets to talk, Cole and Big Shirley. Cole and Big Shirley, boy, I always laugh. They make me happy.
Can I just go watch that episode, or do I have to watch the whole thing?
Well, Brumman from the 5th floor comes in and out of the apartment. He just climbs down the ladder and through the fire
Recurring
escape.
character.
Yeah, but you don't know which episodes Brumman's going to be in. Martin will be going through something really, really emotional with Gina. They'll be beefing or arguing or something like that. Martin will come home and he's about to have a realization. He's about to become a better person, and he'll look up, and Brumman from the 5th floor is just in the refrigerator eating his food. He comes out rubbing his belly button. Y'all ain't got no sandwiches, and there you go. Shanae's good too, Mike. I love Shanae. Oh my God.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Mike.
No.
We'll see you next time, Mike.
All right, guys.
That was Mike Wallace. You can find his latest up at grindcitymedia.com. Is Martin worth a rewatch? Would I like Martin?
I don't think so.
That's okay.
I think Martin is what made Martin so special was it was so specifically black.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much crossover Martin would have with you.
I appreciate the
and two
realism.
And two, like I think the experiences from a grown-up standpoint that you've experienced and that they've gone through, I think there's too many differences. Thanks for walking in the way of the camera,
Is that
Will.
what By Felicia came from, though?
No, By Felicia was Friday.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, By Felicia was Friday. Felicia was the crackhead who came by to try and borrow the microwave. Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not doing that. What up, Will? Yeah, we're still on,
but that's okay. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. CJ has a meeting at 9:30. He's told me over and over again. So we got to get to Will Coleman in the next segment. We'll talk about the Tigers' big win over UAB when we come back.
I thought y'all was
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
It's your turn to drive into luxury at Southland Casino Hotel. Join us on Saturdays to win your share of up to $1 million in free play and prizes. And don't miss the chance to take home luxury itself during the grand finale drawings. Drive off in a 2025 Land Rover on February 1st or a 2025 Range Rover on March 1st. 2 vehicles, 2 finales, 1 million ways to enjoy luxury only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Dusty May was at Florida Atlantic last year. Tonight you'll watch him coach at Michigan. So why do I care if a football player decides to leave one place where he's making whatever money to go somewhere where he's making even more? It's what most coaches do every year. So I cannot stand it, and I mean can't stand it when the coaches sit up there and act like these young people are doing something wrong.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I was a high school player, or let's say I'm the father of a child who's 16 years old, and Mike Vick comes knocking on my kid's door, and Virginia's there also, and so is Virginia Tech. I'm like, yo, you gotta go where Vick is. You gotta go to Norfolk State. Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning into HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Coleman is a former Memphis Tiger, and he joins us every Tuesday to talk about the Tigers, who got a big win over UAB on Sunday. Will, how good did that one feel?
All Tiger wins feel like great wins.
But that one felt a little extra, right?
Yeah, it was a little extra. That could have been a dangerous game. 5-1 in conference. Every game is a dangerous game if we lose. But,
correct.
The
AAC is lava, the floor is lava, and you are trying to avoid stepping in it.
Yeah. UAB solid, man. There was a couple things that stood out with UAB, and I think Penny did a great job of shutting a lot of things down and preventing a lot of things from happening as far as the way they rebound and score the ball and fast break points and things like that. And I think Penny took that to heart and kind of did what he had to do to make sure those things didn't happen.
We were talking earlier this week, Will, about who Memphis rivals are. At one point, UAB was one. Who were the rivals when you were at the university, and who would you say are Memphis men's basketball rivals right now?
Right now?
Right now. Because it came up because it feels like they've let the rivalries die that they could have kept. Like, it's going to be hard to keep Louisville. It's going to be hard to keep Cincinnati.
I will say, there's a really great Q&A with Memphis Athletic Director Ed Scott at the Daily Memphian, and one of the things he brought up was that he would love to have Memphis do a home and home with Louisville, both in men's basketball, women's basketball, and football, and that was just the one that he threw out. I think it was like a trickle-down effect on getting butts and seats, tickets, attendance, and whatnot. But I did find it interesting that he specifically cited Louisville as one that he would like to see come back.
So again, Will, who were the rivals when you were there? Did y'all have any rivals?
I mean, UAB.
So UAB was a rival when you were there.
Yeah, UAB was a lot of fun. I didn't understand it back then, but it was contract TV type stuff and things like that. But Gonzaga was really fun. Okay. Gonzaga was super fun. Let me think.
Did you get to play like Southern Miss at all? Was that one?
Yeah, we played Southern Miss, but that wasn't really
a rival.
Yeah.
Louisville. Did you get to?
I didn't get to play.
Didn't get to play Louisville. And at that time, the regional SEC teams weren't trying to play y'all, right? So Ole Miss was ducking, Mississippi State was ducking, Tennessee was ducking. Yeah. Okay. So it was just. So you're saying it was just UAB?
I'd say
literally
the biggest
just UAB.
one, UAB was the biggest one, and I think that all stemmed from. That was back when Pierre and them was there. Y'all, I don't know if y'all remember when, they was, Pierre had smacked the dude in the orange jumpsuit and it was on the front of the newspaper. So I think it started there.
I'm unfamiliar with this story. Can you please tell me?
So I just heard, it was word of mouth because that happened before I got there, but it was in the paper. A lot of people showed it to me and I heard about it and they talked about it, but I guess somebody said something to Niles that he didn't like and he just reached up and it was in the paper. And I was like, as a player, as anybody somebody that heckles players that think they can get away with it, I mean, ain't nobody just you got to have some balls to really say something. Especially back when Pierre was like, when he was in shape and he was hooping, first off, Pierre was like arguably one of the best athletes come out of Ridgeway. But at that time, Pierre was still like, I mean, he was a hoss.
Yeah.
And for him to say something like that to Pierre and Pierre reach up and
did you hear what he said?
That in the morning. I don't know what he said.
You don't know what he said?
You don't know.
Because that happened before me, but I don't know what was said.
So that laid the foundation.
But
I think
that's
that
how.
laid the.
I think it was a rivalry before that, which is
why
temperatures were higher in that moment than what they typically would be.
But it was extreme. I mean, dude, come on, man. You in an orange jumpsuit. You got on camo. It was a typical, I don't want to call nobody racist, but I mean, it felt
racist. But that's how we do these rivalries, right? We do play on racist tropes. But to my point earlier in the week, Jessica, Like that's how rivalries continue to last.
Yes.
But you've got to play each other for those moments.
You almost got to nurture it.
And the Memphis athletic department has shown little to no interest in the UABs
But
of the
lucky
rivalry.
for us, they're now forced to have Memphis UAB back as a rivalry because honestly,
it's,
on the
it's
basketball
dead
side
now.
of things,
They
I
haven't
will
played
say
enough.
it was a good start to reignite it. Even little things like Dain Danja saying he had never heard of Yaxel Lendenborg until they were starting the scout on UAB, despite the fact that Yaxel was the preseason player of the year and UAB was picked to win the conference. Like little things like that help build lore, right?
Yeah.
And then no one will ever forget Dain Danja making the start for the Tigers and throwing the dunk down on Yaxel for his first bucket of the game and wrap his legs, but his legs dangling on the shoulders. We'll call it a wrap.
That was a wrap.
We'll call it a wrap. What was your response to that dunk?
I mean, it's just, I hate, the game the way it is because it's like when something like that happens, you ready to I got to fight you.
Yeah.
I poor Yaxel. Hey, first off, that's a crazy name.
It is.
Yaxel Foley. Every time I hear Yaxel, I hear the Beverly Hills.
Yaxel is nuts.
I think of
dude.
Yakety Yak.
Yeah. Yaxel is crazy. But when you see it, it's like, man, that's his teammates gave him hell when he got to the locker room.
Will, excuse me. Get the lyric, Jessica.
Is that the lyric?
Yakety yak, don't talk back.
Okay, I always, for whatever reason, this is just a weird, I'm a weirdo.
Here you go.
Cited, it's written in stone. I always, when I was a kid, would go, yakety yak, don't talk back, you little muskrat. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know. It rhymes. I just make up my own thing. So still as an adult, when I hear yakety yak, I think, don't talk back, you little muskrat.
All right, Will, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for
I told
derailing
you. I tried to just go through it, but you stopped.
I shouldn't have. That's my fault.
Stop. That's on you.
My
You
fault,
know
Will.
better
I
than to
do.
try to uncover these gems.
Will Yaxel.
Yeah, Yaxel's a crazy name. Yeah, I'm looking at this box score. I don't know if y'all gave it to me on purpose, but
We didn't. Is that the correct box score, or is that the Wichita State box score?
no, it's UAB.
Okay,
I almost wish. I pray. I don't know this brother number 6, but I pray his middle name is Tony.
Why?
Because his name is Tony.
Tony.
Oh,
That would be excellent.
That would be a name.
That would be awesome.
That would be great, dude. I don't know this brother, but I hope his middle name is Tony. But speaking of Dainja,
Yes.
he has walked into a role that has, I just think, put the country on notice. I mean, I feel like impeccable footwork, can handle the ball, is really crafty around the basket, not extremely athletic, but he knows how to finish. I've fallen in love with Dainja, man. I really like his game and what he's kind of.
And he's got a great name.
Yeah. I like the Mystical song should scream through the speakers every time he
we
plays.
can't play the Mystical song. He's
Come
in jail.
on.
Just the
Come
chorus.
on.
He's in jail for raping a couple of people. We can't do that.
All right, man. Okay, I ain't gonna even go down it. I was about to ask you, we ain't gonna go down that route. We talking about basketball, man.
Who did the lyric? Who did the
Huh?
Nivea.
Nivea? Okay, so we can just use the Nivea part.
Yeah.
No, but it got Dainja. That's the
But
part
we,
you need,
I guess
though.
we could say Dainja in the crowd.
Dainja.
Yeah, the crowd
The
says
crowd can say
Dainja.
Dainja, and we just get Nivea.
Yeah.
So please, tell me.
Man. But the UAB win was so much. What did you just say?
What it is that you want to see.
She had to think about it. She didn't say that confidently.
I didn't say it confidently,
She
but
was
I
thinking
got
about
it.
Okay.
That's
all right,
correct,
all
You
right?
got it. Yeah, you
That's
got
correct.
it.
You got it. You got it. You good.
Please.
You good.
Me and lyrics, we don't go along very well.
Nah, you don't.
Muskrat.
You don't.
What is a muskrat? That's like when I was starting to say it.
A marsupial in the muskrat?
Like a prairie
Yeah,
prairie
I think
dog?
it's a marsupial. No, a prairie dog
is
But
like
is it of kin?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Tigers basketball. Will?
Tigers basketball.
Dain Danja. You like his
Dain Danja
footwork.
was fantastic.
How does he unlock the offense? Somebody like that on the court.
How does he unlock the offense? Yeah. I think it's somebody that you go through that can open up the floor for what seems to be some pretty consistent shooters this year. Because at some point you're going to have to start doubling this guy. He seems to be able to pass out of the post well.
Yeah.
He'll turn the ball over every blue moon. Speaking of turnovers, atrocious amount of turnovers a game before this. We still pulled it out, but
but much better season low turnovers against UAB, or not season low, but conference low turnovers against UAB, and also a season high in assists, which I thought was something that stood out, especially PJ Haggerty. We've talked about how good he is at taking the tough shots, and he can be that tough shot maker, but he had a season high 9 assists and was a big piece of everybody passing up good shots for better shots, which allowed that offense to reach the peak that we've seen this season and score 100 points.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a Tiger team. This team that played UAB is the same as when we played in Maui, and I think it's the same that can make some noise to win a conference tournament and to make a run in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we'd love to go in at the highest seed as possible. I hate those 5-6 seeds, those tend to turn into some pretty tough games. But if we can continue to capitalize on this, sharing the ball, playing well, playing hard, there are going to be some down games, but just as long as we don't drop them, we don't ultimately. I'll take an ugly win over a loss any day of the week. But if we can continue to play like this, share the ball and play together, then I think we'll be fine come postseason.
Muskrats.
Thank you.
They're wet rodents, basically. Oh. They're not related to beavers.
What's a dry rodent? Like a rat?
Like a rat. Squirrel. So
wet rodents are
moles, gophers, field voles, minks, marsh rabbits. Yeah, so that's what they are.
And that, I think is that part of the lyric? Yeah. Okay.
Which lyric?
No, I know.
Now
I understand. Now I understand. No, I was going back to mystical in my head.
Yes.
I couldn't figure out why. In someone in the chat who just said it, that I was sweating over the mystical song. There's a lot of words to jump around in that song for me.
Oh yeah.
For me, that's a big jump around.
There's a lot
song.
of those N words floating around, and by N words I mean naughty words, people. There's a lot of those.
A lot of naughty words.
A lot of naughty words.
But all of a sudden in my head I was trying to think of what it is that you want to see. I couldn't remember if that was just me adjusting the lyric in real time or if that was the actual lyric. But I think that's the actual lyric, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We're surviving on a Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
For this team, coming off a win like this, they have shown an ability to get up for the big games, right? Like between UAB, between the non-conference schedule and navigating that in a really successful way, taking a couple L's along the way, but setting a tone for this group. How can they channel that and push that into the rest of this conference play where it is not as easy to get up for the games?
That's where discipline comes in.
Yeah.
That's where discipline comes in. And I think having leaders on your team that, show up consistently are easier to listen to, or it makes it easy to listen to and follow when you got a guy who continuously produces, but also shows up in other ways, not just during the games, how he is in the locker room, how he shows up to practice, how he responds to the coaching staff. If you got somebody on your team that does things like that and you're winning, then it's easy to, depend on someone, and it's easy to listen to someone when you're walking into these games. Hey, man, this may feel like a 9 to 5 today. We may not really want to be here, but we need to go out here and play Tiger basketball and just secure the dub and get ready for the next game.
We were talking about rivals. I found myself missing the Memphis-Houston short-lived rivalry this weekend.
Now, that's when Memphis-Houston was going crazy for a second. I feel like it was at its peak as soon as it was time for them to bounce. That last time we matched up, it was, There
were some nice because you played.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were some nice rivalries for Memphis starting to form in the American with Houston, with Central Florida, and they had the one already in with Cincinnati, right? There were some nice rivalries there, and then those three teams left, which is all the more frustrating for Memphis fans. And
Wichita State not taking off. I feel like when Wichita State joined the American, and then Greg Marshall got fired because he was maybe abusing his players.
Maybe.
And then they lost all luster
abusing somebody that's
contender.
Twice your size is crazy work. Because especially now with how easy it is to go to another school and acquire the money you want. But for you to try and abuse, I'm about to hit you in your face.
Yeah. But it wasn't now though, right? We hadn't had the NIL revolution. We hadn't had the transfer stuff happen just yet. But little people abuse people all the time. Look at Laura Farquaad. Look at him. He was abusing the hell out of people.
Yeah.
He threatened.
Look at Napoleon Bonaparte.
Was he abusive? And also,
he was maybe like a war criminal.
We established he wasn't little either.
He was littler.
No, he wasn't.
Than
he
his
was
peers.
mid-sized.
Sure.
You're calling him little, and he was like 5'8", 5'9".
That's not small.
That's not small. Napoleon was regular people height. We just decided to make a mockery of this man because he lost, and we didn't like him. Lord Farquaad was pulling off gumdrop buttons and shit, right?
You were no.
How tall was Napoleon? Napoleon height is like 5'8".
He's estimated to have been 5'2".
No.
At maximum,
Napoleon?
he could have been
No.
5'6".
No, he was not 5'2". I refuse to believe. Fake news.
He was diminutive, 5'2", according to the pre-metric system. Okay, well, now we get into the logistics of the changing of metric systems. But in the pre-metric system French measurements, he was 5'2", but the French inch of the time was 2.7 centimeters, while the imperial inch was shorter at 2.54 centimeters. So 3 French sources said that Napoleon's height was just over 5 pieds 2 pouces, which is 5'2", applying the French measurements of the time, that equals around 1.67 meters, or just under 5'6". So maximum, this guy was
5'6".
Okay, that's short. That's not mid-size.
I just Googled it. I didn't need to
5'6" is
open the
short.
article, and the Google told me 5'6".
Okay, fine. You were trying to tell me he's out here at 5'8", 5'9".
Jessica,
what are you, rounding up?
Yeah, round up.
What are you, an NBA roster?
Have you never been on a dating site?
play with shoes
Everybody
on.
rounds
What
up.
are you? Yeah, I'm sorry. What shoes was he wearing?
He had them boots
Was he
on.
wearing
them boots
who's the, why can't I think of his name? DeSantis boots in Florida?
I forgot about the
Was he wearing the
DeSantis
little
boots.
heels? Is he wearing the little Heely boots?
I forgot the lifts.
I don't think they had the
Shout out
lifts.
to Ron DeSantis.
Was he 5'6" on his horse? I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
But,
thanks for joining us.
I will tell y'all this. Ed got so much motion, man. I'm excited to see what Ed do. And Ed is genuinely probably one of the ADs that we've had in a very long time who's here.
Yeah.
Both feet in, excited for the city, excited to be here for the program.
He gets it.
Yeah, he gets it.
I do recommend going and reading that Q&A with the Daily
He gets it. And, it helps that, he, just where he is and his demographic and who he is, that help a little bit too. So I'm excited to see what he does coming up and just on down the line, man, just to see how he pours into this program and pours into the city.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed watching him connect early and navigating some difficult times with his athletic department early as well. And we'll see what's next for Memphis in conference realignment. He said that he believes Memphis can be a top 25 athletic department, and I believe him when he says it. So we'll take a quick break here. Will, thanks as always for joining us. We'll come back. We'll do some TV Tuesday. I started a new show called The Pitt, and I think I recommend it. And I'm surprised that I recommend it. We'll also talk about this week's SNL, some other shows that we are watching when we come back.
Not all the shows. I got a meeting.
You got a meeting at 9:30.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
Keep on talking, marching up to freedom now.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
So these are a pair of Kobe 11 Elite Low. These were part of a collaboration with FC Barcelona.
I've never seen these in person. The detail on these are amazing.
It's Flyknit, like, you know, the front of the shoe's Flyknit. It's got the lunar line, I remember, and the
insole is removable.
Yeah. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app. Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
This team is doing everything that Taylor Jenkins and his coaching staff envisioned it could do.
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Welcome back. CJ told me he has something real quick because he has a meeting at 9:30.
I have a meeting at 9:30. Won't take up too much of your time.
Thank you.
Mike is texting me about this. Mike from downstairs, not upstairs Mike. So we got downstairs Mike now. So downstairs Mike is texting me. I forget who in the chat mentioned it, but the UAB-Memphis rivalry is a thing because when UAB started, like fairly recently with their athletic department, Gene Bartow went to either run their athletic department or be their basketball coach and brought Larry Finch with them, and that's sort of the catalyst. We know what those two mean to this city, and that was the catalyst for the rivalry. I just felt the need to say that so people would stop telling me that.
That was in...
And, you know, I never put together that they play in Bartow Arena or Bartow Arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
There you go.
The more you know.
Stop texting me, people.
Did you watch SNL this week?
I hadn't had a chance to watch yet. Go ahead, let's talk about it, though.
I came home from the Grizzlies game on Saturday, so the game against the Jazz, and I sat down and I watched SNL start to finish. I cannot tell you the last time that I watched an episode of SNL from the beginning to the end. Timothy Chalamet was the host and musical guest. He did Bob Dylan songs, but not the Bob Dylan songs that you would be familiar with, which actually felt like a commitment to Bob Dylan, who I have heard these days, if you go to a Bob Dylan show, he plays a bunch of songs that are not any songs that you know, and that's kind of the experience, and it's not always the most fun, but Timothy Chalamet remains committed to this campaigning for the Oscars. Like, he is everywhere right now and doing this. I think the best hosts are the hosts who are willing to try anything and look really dumb in the process, and Timothy Chalamet absolutely was willing to do that.
Is Chalamet an actor?
He is.
Okay.
But he was a theater kid, which I do think is an important designation.
Because SNL is theater kid stuff.
Yes.
Like that's so.
Improv
so
is
when,
theater kid.
when you get one of those people who can embrace that, I think
Embrace
it
the weird.
makes for a better SNL product. I'm trying to think of the SNL.
Ariana
host.
Grande was really good with it too.
Ariana.
Yeah.
Kiki Palmer was superb when she did it a couple of seasons, maybe 2 seasons ago, I think. You have to have a bit of that in you, otherwise some of the stuff comes across as a little too stiff. What was a skit that I should be? A skit you think I'd like?
If you don't like it, I'll be devastated.
Well,
the second to last skit, there was a lot of sophomoric humor in this episode.
Oh, I love sophomoric humor.
Is not always my favorite, and I don't know if I was just last week was hard, as we've mentioned. This January has been a long month, longer than most January.
It's only been 6 weeks of January.
It's only been 1 week of round 2 of this presidency, and it was a long week. And I think I just really needed to laugh, of which I did many times throughout the episode. But by the time I got to the second to last sketch, it is a sketch entirely based on the concept of a grandma's birthday party, and she has a heart attack, and the doctor gives her CPR while like squatting into her face and like lets it rip, and it's just a big old fart joke. And there's only one fart in the whole sketch, and it carries it through. I was laughing so hard. I had tears streaming down my face. I get these giggles. I've never had it on this show. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. It's horrible. Like, it is not my most attractive quality.
You've laughed till you cried.
Yeah, but not where I can't stop.
Okay.
It gets like caught in my throat, and it perpetuates this cycle. The first time it ever happened to me was I was in 4th grade. I'll never forget it. And I had to leave the classroom, and it has stuck with me forever. And it doesn't happen that often, but this fart sketch did it to me. And I was just like, it felt very good to have that kind of a cathartic release.
This is the second to last?
Yeah, it's the second to last.
Okay.
And then the last one is an animated short that I thought was great. I was like, ooh, I hope we are getting back to this. I just thought there were some sketches that were complete misses for me. Not everything hit, but I thought it was a solid episode. The cold open is Lin-Manuel Miranda coming back, and I saw some people who I think just totally missed the mark with it, being like, oh God, have the liberals learned nothing? It's Lin-Manuel Miranda with Hamilton humor in 2025. Like, this is why you lost the election. I actually thought it was a really poignant use of him. It pauses, and the guy who currently, James Austin Johnson, who I think does the best Trump, comes in and like tells Lin-Manuel Miranda, you have to stay there and pause. You're so close to an EGOT. This must really hurt you that you can't do anything else. I'm going to take over the sketch. I thought it was really funny and like a good use of political humor. The Weekend Update was spectacular. There's an AI sketch where they end up with multiple fingers, which is very funny. I don't know. Yeah. I just thought it was a solid episode. Shout out Timothy Chalamet.
If you're not laughing at farts because you're being
doing?
holier than thou, I want you to know, farts are going to happen in this world whether you laugh or not. You are willingly choosing not to find something that is hilarious funny. And that's on you.
And this was
You're
just
being
really
too damn curmudgeon-y about
really
it.
funny.
If it's going to happen anyways, you may as well
and then
laugh
there will
about
be
it.
some things, like there was an Oedipus sketch where like the mom and son are having a thing, and that made me uncomfortable. I literally said, I think that was too far.
Okay.
There was a Jimmy Carter joke. I said, maybe that was too soon.
Nah.
But anyway, it was a solid episode. What are you watching right now?
I finished a while back Laid. I don't know if you're still watching it. Laid, for those of you who don't know, is a show on Peacock which centers around a woman who realizes all the men she's ever had relations with, they're all dying one by one in the order that she had relations with them. Behind her is the sex board where they're piecing, she and her best friend are piecing together how it happens. I think it's nothing too serious. Not one of those you're going to learn a whole lot about anything in particular. It's just a fun, quick watch. I think episodes are about 30 minutes each, if I remember correctly. And I do think it is an interesting portrayal of like, hey, I'm single and I'm not a young adult anymore single. Like I'm grown and single, and it is so hard to find somebody worthwhile right now at the age I'm at, in late 20s, early 30s. Like that is hard to find somebody. And let me take a look back at all the dudes who I did wrong one, and I like that about this show, right? So many times when we talk about women in the relationships, so many of the shows that I come in contact with or movies or people I talk to, it's always, hey, this woman is still single at this age, and it's because dudes are terrible. No. Some of you women out there, y'all are outrageous. And so it is, hey, she was in the wrong with a fair number of these relationships, and there are some where they were in the wrong, and I think that's fun to sit down and watch. Did you just stop watching it?
No, I forgot to start it.
Okay, yeah.
I got into that Bad Sisters trend because that's a show that I'm going to watch by myself, and so I'm trying to finish season 2 of Bad Sisters. Severance is back. It's a fantastic mystery that I am deeply ingrained in. I'm now listening to podcasts about Severance again. All is right in this little world. The first episode was all from the innie perspective. This most recent episode was all from the outie perspective. I am greatly enjoying trying to come up with theories.
Season 2?
This is season 2 of Severance.
What's your big theory?
I don't know. Like I literally don't have one. Well, the big theory is that one of the characters is actually the outie is now the innie, that there was a switcheroo that happened. There is a big event that happens at the end of season 1, and that it has carried over into season 2, and we are led to believe that one character is operating one way, but she's actually a different version of herself within it.
Is there?
It's hard to explain to someone who doesn't watch it.
No, but like you're not Jessica, this conversation isn't for me.
I know, but
it's for them.
Well, it's
for them.
So We'll continue to talk about Severance as it goes, but I only have 4 minutes to work with here because you have a meeting at 9:30.
I do have a meeting at 9:30.
I'm also watching Traders. I'm also watching Penguin. However, I have a very important recommendation.
Okay.
The Pitt. Have you heard of The Pitt?
I have.
The Pitt is the new medical drama on Max, starring Noah Wiley, who was on ER, so it's very easy to get sucked into the ER comparisons, the Grey's Anatomy comparisons. I have fallen into The Pitt, and I can't get up. We watched one episode last night following the atrocity that was Grizzlies Knicks. It's really good. Like, I am not married to medical dramas. Like, I don't seek medical dramas out, right? I watched ER when I was younger because it felt like the cool adult show to watch. I watched Grey's Anatomy as a part of Shondaland and TGIT. I was in love with McDreamy, like went through that, but it's not like I enjoy medical shows, especially like procedural medical shows, but this one is so fast-paced. It's based in a Pittsburgh ER. I think it has really interesting commentary on the problems and issues facing the healthcare system, the overcrowded nature of ERs, lots of commentary about how long one can be waiting in an emergency room and waiting for a bed to free up, and patient satisfaction or dissatisfaction and mismanagement. And it's kind of like an elevated procedural medical drama, plus it's on Max, so it's so gory. Like, I watched Grizzlies Knicks, which scoured my eyeballs last night, but then I watched some woman who was maybe a hate crime pushed in front of a train, and her foot was run over by the train, and then I watched the foot dangling off the leg as they like pulled skin off, and I was like, this is not on ABC. It was disgusting. I watched a man get staples in his head. Just why? I didn't need to see the shot of the staple going into the head, but they showed it to me. Chris was like, I think this is too much. I said, damn it, we watched The Substance. We can get through anything at this point in time. But there was the woman in front of the train. There was a possible school shooter whose mom faked an illness to come to the hospital to try to get help for her son. Feel like you could have gone about that a different way. There's a triathlete who crashes out. There's a young nurse who... Don't. It's not a spoiler. It's episode 1. This is all one episode.
All one episode?
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. This is all one episode, and it's like ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the language that is used, it's all this medical jargon that I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It feels like Simlish. It's like and the next thing you know, you're really sucked into this show. I can't wait to watch episode 2. If it had been early enough, I would have watched episode 2 last night.
Nice.
Join me in the pit. I'll meet you in the pit.
You'll meet them in the pit.
I'll meet you in the pit.
There you go. Yeah.
I think you should come.
I'm not.
I'm going to keep inviting you to the pit.
I don't care about the hospital shows. Are so boring to me.
Yeah, but this one's not.
I say that as I watch St. Dennis Medical, right?
Okay.
Like like I can do Scrubs. I can do the funny stuff. I can dabble in House a little bit, but all the rest of them, man, like I don't care.
This is different.
How is it different? It sounds.
You never see
it
them
sounds
outside.
Exactly the same, but just with more gore. Like they're just showing more of the injury.
I feel like in other hospital shows, things progress when they meet at the coffee stand or they meet at the nurse desk.
Yeah.
But this is all in the context. You only are learning about these characters as they go room to room trying to solve the patients in the ER. And it's like one shift in the ER. You don't go home with them. You don't go to the bar with them. I don't know where they're gonna sleep together because like it has to happen on the job or we're never gonna see it happen. There's some sexual tension that I need figured out. It's interesting. I never thought I'd watch another medical show because frankly, it gives me some health anxiety, but here we are. All right, go to your meeting.
Thank you.
We'll see you all tomorrow. I actually can't wait for tomorrow's show because there's a lot of sports stories that we have not yet gotten to. Most notably, we will dive fully into the Cowboys hiring and the press conference with Jerry Jones that occurred yesterday. Can't wait for it. We'll see you then. Bye.